Hey friends, it's Jessi. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the second update of my 2023 Deck of Panning project. This project was created by Emily here on YouTube. As always, I will link her in the description below. This project, if you're unfamiliar or this is your first time stopping by, all you need is a deck of playing cards and the game board, which I will also link in the description below. The game board switches every single month. I will include a picture of this month's game board that we are going to be working with, but essentially I am just randomly drawing some cards and then picking products that correlate with the prompt that the card picks from the game board. We have made quite a bit of progress this month, so let's go ahead and jump right in. I decided to forego the lashes today with my pale skin and the really big wing. I feel like I kind of look like an alien today, but I do really like the eye look. It's very pretty. Let's go ahead and start with the products that have been in the project for a while. So first up, we have my Colourpop Supershock Cheek. This is in the shade Count Me In. My goal is ultimately to finish up this blush. I don't know how many times I've used it this month. However, I do have 36 total uses written down on it. So 36 uses since I rolled this in the intro in January. So I believe that is 2 months of use on it. This one is definitely slowly getting there. We are making progress slowly but surely. My favorite way to use this, I have found, is actually to put it on my primer underneath my foundation. So today I'm wearing more of a full coverage foundation, so I didn't end up using it today. But when I use like my Rare Beauty tinted moisturizer or maybe my Dior Backstage foundation, it looks really good if you just like pop it up on the cheekbones, like where you would put your blush, and then you top it with your lighter coverage tinted moisturizer foundation. I feel like that gives it just such a nice, subtle, natural glow. And then you can top it with whichever blush you prefer. That has been my favorite way to use it so far, and primarily how I've been using it over the past month. I have debated if I want to maybe repress this shade because the product is getting a little bit clumped in the sides. This is the brush that I primarily use it on. This is the Luxie small contouring brush, and I feel like it's kind of difficult to get it into those little crevices towards the edges, but it does have a very big dip. I mean, from the top, it looks like there's more product than if you look at it from the side. It definitely looks very, very loved. I just need to figure out if there's a different brush I could use to really get into those crevices in the edge of the pan, or if I'm going to repress this and maybe scrape everything into the middle and try again. That also seems like a good idea. I've never done that before. I feel like because it is that Supershock formula, it shouldn't be too hard to manipulate it into a different shape if I decide to do that. So the Supershock blush is staying in the project. The next item we've been working on is my Fenty Kilowatt Highlighter. This is in the shade Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal. Here is what the inside is looking like. So this side right here is Lightning Dust, and it is the more natural of the two sides. It is a very subtle, kind of just natural glow, not really glittery, more of like a satin highlighter finish. And then Fire Crystal is this more glittery, blinding side. I already had a pan in Lightning Dust, so my goal was ultimately to hit pan in Fire Crystal. I used it 10 times this month for a grand total of 20 uses in the project, and as you can see, I did hit a little pan right there in the embossed FB for Fenty Beauty, like I said I was going to try and do. It is not the biggest pan in the world. I will definitely continue to reach for it and possibly expand that pan, but I do now have pan in both sides of this highlight, and I feel like that's pretty good. I'm really good with panning eyeshadows, but I feel like face products are a lot tougher for me, just because I'm not always wearing the most dramatic face products in the world. I feel like I normally go for crazy eye looks, and I use a lot of eyeshadow. And face products, while I love a good base, is just not usually my focus. So that is one of the reasons why I wanted to do the Deck of Panning project in the first place. But now we have pan in both sides of this highlight. It was a fun one to work on. I'm excited to see what we roll in next. The next items are the ones we rolled in last update. So the first item we have is the Jeffree Lip Balm. This is in the shade Cowboy Kiss. My goal with this lip balm was to finish it, and I have partially finished it. There's nothing coming out at the top, but if you turn it over, there is still quite a bit of product inside the tube. I thought a lot about if I wanted to continue to work on this and actually finish it, and I think I do. I've used this lip balm 19 times since last update. 19! I did take a break from makeup just a little bit right in the beginning of March because I did start doing some chemical peels and I didn't want to mess with my skin. You can't wear makeup for, I believe, like 48 or 72 hours after you get one. So I did miss out on a few prime makeup days because it was on a weekend. But I was applying my lip balm. I would do it after I do my nighttime skincare just as like an extra little touch. Do I think it does anything? I don't know, but like, why not? And then on those few days where I wasn't wearing makeup after my chemical peel, I did use it a little bit just as a little bit of color for my lips. So this is what we're looking like so far. It is definitely a lot of product in here. I'm not sure how deep this goes. I figured we would continue to work on it because, you know, I don't want to like half pan something. I want to like full send and like do the whole thing. So we are going to continue to work on this one. It is definitely a lot more product than I anticipated. And to scrape out the product, I have this little spatula that I got with my Rem Beauty concealer. I don't use it with my concealer, but I saved the spatula thinking I might use it, and that's what I've been using to scrape out the product. Up next, we have the Benefit Hula Bronzer. This one was actually the item that Bruce, my puppy, picked for me in last update. If you didn't watch that, I highly suggest. He's very good at picking things. He chose the Hula bronzer for us to work on. My goal was to hit pan, and I managed to hit pan in the bronzer. I used the Hula bronzer 15 times since last update. I believe it only took me 12 uses to hit pan, but I did continue to use it a little bit just so you could actually see the pan when I held it up. I am pretty happy with that. If you tilt it, I don't know if you'll be able to tell because the box packaging is so inconvenient, but there is a pretty big dip going throughout the center of the bronzer, and then the pan is right in the middle of that dip. So the more I use it, the bigger that pan is gonna get. I am very pleased with how that's looking. I'm one of those weird people that likes to do a cream bronzer contour and then put powder on top of it, but I did use it in conjunction a lot with my Fenty cream bronzer, which I also managed to hit pan on, so I guess this is a bonus pan for the Deck of Panning project, and this one I've continued to use and expand. That is a pretty decent sized pan, let me tell you. There is no denying I have pan in this, and I used it pretty much every single time I use the Hula, so I'm gonna take that as 2 pans for the price of 1. And last but not least, I did roll in the prompt last month of a long haul item, and I've been working out of my ABH Sultry palette. I have been trying to finish up the shade Fresh, which is this white cream shade up at the top. I have made quite a significant amount of progress on it since last month. I use this primarily to set my eyeshadow primer or my concealer, whatever I'm using on my eyelids at any given time. This is what I usually like to use. I used it today to clean up some of the smoky green that went a little bit farther than I wanted, but this is what we're looking like. I've used Fresh 20 times since I rolled it in last update, and it is looking very, very loved. I can't remember what exactly it looks like. You will definitely see the progress photos, but if I'm remembering correctly, the shade actually went up into the corners, and I now have an empty corner, and the side kind of going down is a little bit cleaner. So we're really focusing more towards the bottom of that pan. And in addition to working on Fresh, I've also gotten more use out of some of the other shades, notably Pearl, which is this nice shifty champagne shade, and Twig, which is this really pretty matte cool tone brown. So as a whole, this palette has been getting lots of love. This one is also staying in. It is definitely an easy shade to work through, and I don't doubt I will be able to finish it in the next couple months. So with 2 items rolling out, that leaves us 2 openings to roll in. I haven't shuffled my cards since the last update, so I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle them very, very quickly, and then we'll go ahead and draw 2 cards. Let's go ahead and draw our 2 numbers. So the first one we have is the 10 of Hearts. I was actually thinking about this, the 10 of Hearts. The 10 of Hearts is a wild card, which means we get to pick what we are going to work on. That's exciting. And the second card that we are pulling is the Ace of Hearts, which is add another product. So I think that means I have to put this one back, and then we draw 2. So we're working on 6 products instead of 5. So the first one is the 7 of Spades. 7 of Spades is a brand I only own 1 of. That's gonna be a tough one. And then the next product is the Jack of Hearts. Jack of Hearts is a random letter generator. Let me move my laptop over so we can actually do this together. So I just Googled random letter generator and picked the first one that popped up. So we're gonna go ahead and hit generate random letter, and the letter is W. I don't know what I have that starts with W. So the prompts we're rolling in are the product of my choosing, a brand I only own one of, and the random letter generator, which we rolled a W. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop off camera. We're gonna pick some products and then meet back and discuss the roll-ins. It is so hard for me to pick products. I just like never know what I want to work on or what I'm going to be in the mood for, but I think I've narrowed down some good items. So the first prompt I pulled was wild card, and that's just any product I want to work on. So I have decided to roll in my Jeffree Star, the gloss. We know how we feel about how freaking hard it is to finish or pan Jeffree products. I made pretty good amount through this lip gloss. It originally started as a clear lip gloss and I wore it over a lipstick, and it is not clear anymore. So I have been wanting to finish this up for the longest time, and I was working on it unofficially at the end of last year, and now I'm just kind of ready to really hone in on it. So this is technically in the shade Let Me Be Perfectly Clear. As you can tell, it is not really a clear gloss anymore, but I think I'm gonna set myself a usage goal. I don't know if I wanna set a finish goal. I do eventually want to finish this, but for the sake of this project and keeping things fresh, I think I'm going to set a usage goal of maybe 20 uses. I feel like that's pretty fair because I don't really use gloss every single time I do my makeup. In fact, recently I've been going for more matte lip combos like the one I have today, but it'll be a good stretch to really force myself to get some more use out of this product. I don't really know where 20 uses is going to get us. If we look at the lettering, I would ultimately like to maybe be below the G or in between like the G and the L in gloss. I do have a little marker on the back of where it was when I started working on this unofficially, so I'm going to make another tally just right at the top of that product line, and we'll go ahead and go from there and see how much I can use up in 20 uses. If I feel like I make a ton of progress, I might choose to just leave this in until I finish it, but I think 20 uses is a good goal to start with on this one. Then we had to go ahead and pull in 2 more prompts because we added the +1 card. So the first prompt I got out of the new prompts was a product you only own one of, and I don't really have a lot of brands that I only own one thing from. I feel like even products I've gotten in PR have always been sent in like multiples. So I feel like when I buy things, I don't have just one of the brand, but there are a couple items that I have in my collection that I only have one from the brand, and the one I chose to work on is actually a fragrance. This is from Zoella Beauty. I don't know if any of y'all remember when Zoella Beauty was a thing. This is the body mist in the scent Blissful Mistful. It is actually a really soft, light, airy scent. It just feels like very fresh. It almost has kind of like a sweet scent to it. This one was pretty much completely full at the start of the year. I had had a little bit of use on it, but I feel like I'm ready to really just focus on this and get this out of my collection and finish it. I think I'm going to be crazy and say that I'm going to leave this in until I finish it. I feel like this is a pretty decent amount of product. I did go ahead and draw a little line right there where the product settles on the jar, so that way we'll be able to see a visual of the progress between this update and next update. But I think essentially I want to finish this up. I think if I use this as my main fragrance, I feel like I could have it out by summer. I feel like June time I could be done with this. I do wear a lot of perfumes to work, and right now I've been reaching for my Billie Eilish fragrance back there. That is my favorite fragrance I've ever had in my entire life. But this one I feel like is very light and airy. I can just use it when I go out. It fades off pretty quick, so I have that to my advantage. I can refresh it throughout the day. But this is what we're going to be working on. I'm excited to see how far we get on it by next update. And the last prompt we had was the random letter generator, which we drew letter W from. I had such a hard time going through my collection and trying to find something that starts with the letter W, but I settled on the Colourpop Supershock shadow in Wattles. This is a Supershock matte shadow. It is just a really pretty, almost like a cool tone mauve-y shade. I feel like this will be very easy to use in an everyday sense when I'm just needing a little bit of color for my eyelids, if I'm just going to the gas station, to work. I feel like I could definitely get a lot of use out of this one. And I do have a tiny little dip in the middle. We've panned Supershock products before. It is pretty easy. I feel like this will be an easy one to get out of my project fairly quickly. So that is W Wattles. That is all for today's update, my friends. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I love chatting with you all about all the progress I've made over the past month and just in this project in general. As always, if you were doing this project, let me know. I would love to keep up with everybody that's doing it. And with that, I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye, friends.